Hey, business building warrior. Welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio. This is Jim. And if my voice sounds a little off, it's because I've been talking for 3 days straight, meeting the great members of this community, the listeners to this podcast, your fellow business building warriors. We gathered in Columbus, Ohio, July 6th through 8th. And the event is, of course, over now. But we decided to make the opening session a podcast episode, actually a 2-part podcast episode, because it ran a little long, but it was great content. It's a great introduction to the community, what we're all about, what's working now, where we're heading, where you should start if you're new, some of the great success stories from our community. It was time well spent for sure. So the next couple episodes of the podcast, starting with today, session 1 of 2 parts, are going to be that opening session where about 600 business building warriors, fellow listeners to this podcast, gathered for our annual event. And good news, we're going to do it again. We've already announced the dates for our 2024 event. If you want to mark out May 23rd through 25th of 2024, we're going to Orlando, Florida. You can get details on that. There's a link in the show notes as well, but go to theprovenconference.com/Orlando and get details on that upcoming event. Well, like I said, this was a tremendous time of hanging out with the great people of this community. You do not want to miss this event. You should get into the Facebook group and see some of the things that people are saying about this event. I won't try to do it justice. It's one of those experiences where if you weren't there, it's kind of hard to describe, but it was life-changing for so many people. So many new members of our community jumping in, getting started. So many people who consider this a family reunion. Did you realize that this was our 11th time, our 11th annual gathering of this community, making it, to my knowledge, the longest running annual e-commerce Amazon event in the world? Pretty incredible that we were a part of something that special. You're a big part of this community as well as a listener to this podcast. So let's turn it over to the broadcast that happened just a few days ago and listen to part 1 of this 2-part episode, where we cover the first half of the opening session from the recent Proven Conference. And hopefully listening to it will help you decide if this is a community you want to be a part of, if these are the opportunities that excite you, and maybe you want to attend our event with us next year in Orlando. So let's jump over to that session now. Sorry for the shaky camera if you're watching the video. This is just me holding my cell phone. I'm not in my studio, as you can tell. It's actually Sunday after the event. I'm still at the hotel, but wanted to record this video so we could get this great episode out to you as fast as possible. All right, enjoy.
I'm really excited to be able to introduce everybody and to just be your MC for this weekend and serve you as we move throughout it. I want to say, everyone who is here, you have been prayed for, you have been planned for, you have been excitedly expected, and we are really looking forward to serving you well and giving you so much value this weekend. Well, are you guys ready to meet our hosts? Let's bring them up on the stage.
Let's go, guys. Thank you, Sue. Good morning, guys. Welcome. We're going to bring some of the hosts and host family up here for just a moment to introduce some of my crew, and Nate and Jimmy as well. Trey and Lily are making their way up. Actually, we got a big announcement. You're allowed to be late, Lily. That's okay, because I'm a grandpa. And she's a grandma. And Lily is actually due with our grandson December 25th, Christmas. So if you guys have some creative names for me for what I should be called as a grandpa, I've been kicking around some ideas, but I'm open to some concepts. So, keep the ideas coming. But yeah, we're so excited. Our first grandchild on the way. Christmas Day is the due date. How cool is that? So yeah, but this is our crew, and Jimmy and Nate on the end down here. We're kind of the hosts. So many people have put so much work into making this event tremendous for you guys. But do we have a hand held up here? Yeah, all right. So Nate, say a couple words, man, and then Jimmy, I'll bring you up here in a few minutes.
Couple words, man.
Couple words. There you go. Now sit down.
Guys, you know what? Welcome to the conference. For those of you that are brand new, awesome to meet you. For the people that I've met again multiple times, awesome to see you guys again. I love the energy of this conference. It's like a high that you just can't experience anywhere else. So to be around you, Jim, and the family, and get to hang out, network, build relationships. Relationships are the key to everything in life. It's biblical, right, Jim? Like, that's probably the number one thing that the Bible touches on.
We're not meant to be alone, and I'm going to hit on some of that theme this morning for sure.
It's such an honor to be up here and to share this stage with all you guys, and to be here and to serve you guys. So if you've never met me, come hang out. I'd love to meet you. If you've met me before, come hang out. I love being around you. This is my crew. This is my family. So thanks for coming out here.
Thanks for joining our family reunion, right? All right, you guys, thank you for coming up here. Appreciate you. Love you. Did you want to say anything, babe? Okay, let's get the mic down here. This is Andrea's chance to say a few words.
I look forward to these 30 seconds all year long. I just want to say we're all glad you're here. This is not like, the Cockroom show or anything like that. We just happen to be on the stage because Jim started a conference 11 years ago and pulled us along with him. So we're happy to be here. We're all involved in the conference, either speaking or working at it. So we're not just lolling about. If you see a Cockroom and have a question, ask us. Please approach us. We love talking. Especially me. But one thing that's really special, a lot of you guys that have come here year after year after year, you guys have watched our little kids, back 11 years ago, they were at our knees. And it was in a little itty bitty room in some hotel somewhere.
Orlando is where we started.
Right.
Yeah, our kids were all like, they've grown up with this event.
Right. You guys have watched them grow. And
gotten married.
Yeah, and we're all expanding, and this is really special when you guys come up to me and comment on the family growing, and I appreciate that relationship that we have with you guys, and I just want you to know that we appreciate you, tremendously. This isn't a conference without you guys, so thanks for being here.
Welcome. Yes, awesome. That's good. I think that's it. You can take that with you and give it to Sue. Yeah. I think that's it. All right, guys. Well, let's get rolling. Thank you for jumping up here, family. So that's my crew, if you see any of them. So proud of these guys. And if I didn't mention it yet, I'm going to be a grandpa. I am a grandpa. It's just I'm not going to meet him till the 25th. We just found out, those corny and gender reveal things that people do, and you're like, oh, come on, just tell everybody if it's a boy or girl. I've always thought they were so stupid until it was my grandson. And dude, we had a party, man. It was awesome. It was so cool. And I just got to point out, I'm waiting till Andrea left the stage, because we all had to pick what we thought it was going to be, and you had to commit. It's not what you want; it's what you think it's going to be, and we all had to commit. And it was just a couple of us. It was Avon and me that said boy. Everyone else was on this girl train. We're like, no, it's a boy. We knew it was, and we were right. It's a boy. So we were so happy. High five, Avon. Good job, baby. Yeah, so, okay, let's get into this thing. Here's the point of this morning's session, opening session. We want to make sure that you guys are fully equipped and prepared to make the most of the next 3 days, understand what's going to be happening. We've got a lot of new folks. We've got some people here. You're going to hear me say some things that you've heard me say 1,000 times before. Bear with me, because this community is all about serving and growing, especially the new folks who are coming up behind us, who maybe don't quite know the lay of the land yet. They're still trying to figure out if they know, like, and trust us. So bear with me as I say some things that maybe you've heard before. But in preparing you to make the most of the next 3 days, I want to spend some time talking about who this group is, what it is we do here, and where I think we're going based on that information. All right, so that's how we're going to spend some time here, along with some stories and some other things going on that I think are important for you guys to know. So first off, you made it here. Take a deep breath. This room is a little fancier than the vibe of this community, but I love it. It's great. But this is just a family reunion. We could be sitting at a park somewhere, just hanging out, very casual. We're business building warriors. We're doing this so we can have the financial future of our dreams, so we can better serve our families. For so many of us, this is our ministry, so we can better serve God. And we love the fellowship of being around other people who have that similar world view, that similar vision. Making a profit, building a business is a virtuous activity. Just by running a profitable business, you are helping more people than you will ever meet. The way I like to say it quite often is, if you're running a profitable business, you are helping countless lives. Many of those people, you will never even meet them, just by running a profitable business. So we see a great deal of virtue in business. And in a culture that attacks profit, that attacks business owners, it sees them almost as an evil thing. Yeah, thanks, buddy. I'll take that right now. Appreciate you. It's very important to have community. And the biblical principle that Nate alluded to earlier on, it's a principle that I picked up from one of my mentors, Daniel Lappin, is, you read in Genesis where where the creation story is basically told, and it's good, it's good, it's good, it's good. On day 3, God created this. On day 4, God created that. And then finally he gets to, he created man. And then he says, man, it's not good for man to be alone. It's the first it's not good that you see in the Bible. Everything else is good, but it's not good for man to be alone. And we think oftentimes, well, yeah, a guy needs a wife. Everyone knows that, right? A guy needs a girl to just, okay, we get that lesson. Absolutely. I'd be lost without my wife. By the way, 29 years, working on our 30-year marriage. Love Andrea, my best friend. Couldn't do any of this without her. I don't think you really get to know each other. Can anyone attest to this? Anyone been married like 30 plus years? Like, you kind of start to get to know each other about your 30s. Like, all right, I kind of know what I got myself into now. Like, especially for the guy. Now, she's probably known all along, but I'm starting to figure this thing out. But it's not just, the Bible's not just talking about marriage. Man, it's not meant for man to be alone. If you read in the original Hebrew and you study, and this is where my good friend Rabbi Daniel Lappin, who understands the Old Testament business principles more than anyone I've ever met, he said, if you read it in the original Hebrew, it's basically saying we as humans are not built for isolation. Now, short times of prayer and, focused isolation where you get away, maybe meditate, that sort of thing, take a walk, yeah, that's good. But if you think that you're going to do life or business in isolation, and this is why it's so important for us to hear this as business building warriors who are using the internet creatively to launch and grow multiple streams of income. That's who we are, by the way. We say it all the time around here. Business building warriors who love to use the internet in creative ways to launch and grow multiple streams of income. That's a very isolating choice for a business model. You can very easily drift into, I'm going to sit behind my glowing keyboard in a dimly lit room and make some money and try to figure this thing out. It's not going to work. We've been doing this for 20 years. And if I can make an observation about who makes it and who doesn't make it, it's simply this. I've been asked this question a handful of times. I was actually recently on a radio interview, a guy out of Denver, an AM station, a business station. He wanted to talk to someone who understood e-commerce. And his question was, you've watched a lot of people fail and succeed in e-commerce over a couple decades at this point. If you had to identify one thing that separates the people who make it from the people who don't, what would that line in the sand be for you? Is it intelligence? Is it industriousness? Is it creativity? Is it, all these things you could identify, and those are all important things. But there's only one factor that I instantly identified. It's relationships. And not as a generic thing, as a very intentional thing. I'm not just saying, well, the outgoing people have an advantage and us introverts, well, we got a disadvantage. No, I'm saying if you're intentional about building your network of people that know, like, and trust you, you will make more money than if you don't. We call it the 3 a.m. rule around here. How many of you recognize the 3 a.m. rule? Raise your hand. Okay, that's about 10% at tops. So I can tell this story. Bear with me. You've heard me use this example. So those of you here are like, oh, Jim talks about the same stuff over and over. That's what leadership is. Only 10% of your hands went up. So I'm going to tell you what the 3 a.m. list is. I had some guys at my house working. Are they here, the guys that painted my house and then said they were going to come to the event if they could make it? There we are, right back there. Yep. So you can attest. I told you guys this story, didn't I? The 3 a.m. list, right? They did a great job, by the way. If you guys need someone to paint, you happen to live in the central Indiana area, those guys were good. They did a great job for me. 3 a.m. list. What is that, Jim? That's the number of people, names on a sheet of paper that you could call at 3 in the morning, and they would answer their phone and say something along the lines of, whatever you need, I'm there. Drop everything. Yeah, I'm at this great event right now, but dude, no, I'll hop on a plane, I'm there. How many people do you have in your life like that? And if you can write them all on one sheet of paper, I feel bad for you. That means you're not trying hard enough. I'm talking actual names on a sheet of paper. If you've only got 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 names like that of people who would do a huge favor for you, that means you're not building relationships with intentionality. So the difference between the people who make it in any business, not just e-commerce, we tend to slide into isolation by default. So it's very important for us to hear this, but this is a universal rule. The number of names that you could write down on a sheet of paper, your 3 a.m. list, determines your potential for success in business, because you're growing that list of people who know, like, and trust you. And I've got to say, it's a pretty incredible asset for our family to know, and we've tapped into this on many times. We could get on Facebook at any given time, and so could many of you. And you got a lot of people. Now, they're not the closest of friends, but they're people who have come to know, like, and trust and respect you. And you could say, hey, we need some help. Does anybody know? Like, we could get a flat tire in the middle of Alabama, and we could jump on there. There's somebody who knows someone who could help us out. That gives you a lot of potential, not just to have a lot of friends, which is awesome. You know, it's impossible for us to be really close to more than just a handful of people. I'm not talking about feeling like, psychologically, bear with me. I'm actually making a fairly decent point here. Psychologically, we're not capable of deeply caring for and being emotionally vested in more than about 10 to 12 people. Like, if they died, it would wreck us. 10, 12, maybe 15 tops, where you're just really vested emotionally. I'm not talking about those relationships. I'm talking people who know, like, and trust you. You reach out to them, they respond. They're there for you. You're friends. You need to grow that list. So why is that such an important point for this morning? You guys are here. You have a chance to make a huge leap forward in the list of people who know, like, and trust you. But it hinges on what you do. It's not what we do. We put in the work. We paid for this stage and these screens and this hotel, and it's a beautiful facility. But if you come and you just sit and you do this the next 3 days and you check your stats and you swipe up and like, ooh, rough sales. If you spend the next 3 days doing that, you have not taken advantage of this event. You need to be proactive. So let me give you something very specific you can do. Who remembers the 2-word question from last year? Raise your hand, show me a hand. 2-word question. What is it? Someone tell me. How's business? Yes, awesome. You guys were listening. I want you to ask that question dozens of times over the next 3 days. Feel free to come up to anybody wearing one of those name tags and badges and strike up a conversation. Is there anybody here who doesn't want to be asked that question over the next 3 days? Let me see your hand. You don't want to be asked. Come on, I'm going to make you come up stage and explain yourself. Good. 100% participation. I saw that one hand. All right, who is that? Come on up here. No, I'm kidding. Somebody just wants to come up on stage. So we all just gave permission to everybody else here over the next 3 days at any point in time, and you see 2 or 3 people kind of huddled together having a conversation, just step up and say, hey guys, can I join the conversation? Yeah, sure, come on in. That's where the real power of this event is. It used to hurt my feelings. I got to admit, year 1, 2, this is year 11. It's really hard to hurt my feelings now. We've done this many times. I know how this thing works. Year 1, year 2, year 3, people would come up afterwards, and I liked hearing this, but at the same time, it hurt my feelings a little bit when they'd say, hey, Jim, the content was good, but I got to tell you, man, the conversations in the hallway, that's where it's at. And I'm like, do you know how much work I put into picking the topics and the speakers and the agenda? But no, I get it now. And it's very intentionally built around that. That's why we went from all meeting in one big room with speaker after speaker after speaker to breakouts, to lots of big gaps in the schedule, long gaps for lunches, encouraging. This hotel is picked very specifically. There's a bunch of criteria that goes into picking hotels. But very specifically, one of the things we look at is there a good place for people to hang out until 2 in the morning where they're not going to get in trouble or get kicked out or be in an unsafe situation, right? We pick hotels intentionally for that because that's going to happen. And there's going to be people who aren't in the room tomorrow morning because they stayed up till 3 tonight getting great business ideas and strategies and expanding their 3 a.m. list and getting some great information that helps propel their business forward. So we've done this event intentionally with those kind of things in mind. Is that resonating? I just took my time to make a few very important points. But if I stopped it right here and we just took a good break and just kind of hung out to the sessions, that would be a great opening session. Because I could stand up here and give you guys very specific, hey, you want to find some good ASINs, you need to learn this strategy. You want to find some good inventory management, you got to go to this store. That's all great. But you know what? This room, this group, we learned a long time ago. This group is so much smarter than any of us could ever hope to be. I feel like an infant who's just getting started. I've been doing this 20 years as the only income for my family, and I am as clueless as the newbie in the back of the room who's not sure they should be here when it comes to what all is out there, the opportunities that are out there, the ways these ideas expand. So we teach some great stuff here. It's all proven concepts. Let me just spend a minute. What does proven mean? Why proven? What do you mean by that? Well, if we were just trying to sell whatever program was the hottest, latest, coolest, easiest to sell thing, I'd be up here trying to sell you guys a $1,000 AI course today or something, right? Well, the thing is, I haven't met a whole bunch of people who have applied some AI strategies and made some money and proven it's something that can be taught to a larger group and work at scale. So are not promoting AI. So what do we promote? What is that business opportunity? Again, the only income my family has had for 20 years has been creative streams of income on the internet. And if I'm going to treat my position of influence with responsibility, the only thing I want to teach is stuff that works. So how do we find the stuff that works? It's quite simple. Someone comes to us with an idea and says, hey, this is really working well for me. Our business is doing good. You guys should teach this in your community. And we say, that's great. Thanks for introducing that to us. Now, here's a few people, we'll call them guinea pigs. We're going to introduce you to a few guinea pigs from our leadership team. Help them start to learn how to do this. And that's a 6-month process, sometimes longer. And they come back and they say either one of two things. Yeah, this is amazing. This is working really well. This is great. Or they say, it's not, it needs to be shaped out. It's not quite there. But if they come back to us and it's a great idea that really works well, hey, we integrate that into what we teach around here. We create a little course. We roll it into the Proven Amazon course. And then it's content for you guys. So I would say about 20%, maybe at best, of the ideas that are presented to us as far as concepts for training go into the Proven Amazon course or anything that you guys will ever see. A lot of the work we do around here is being a really good filter, the best we can. Are we perfect? No, but we really work hard at keeping out all the clown ideas, the unproven stuff, the stuff that's opportunistic. It'll work for a couple months and then it's gone. We keep that out of this community. And the reason, I think, there's a handful of reasons that I think this community has lasted. This is our 11th event. I don't know of any other e-commerce event that's lasted that long. If you find one, let us know. Our 11th annual event. That's pretty incredible. We've got the Proven Amazon course, which has been around for 12, 13 years. It's the oldest Amazon seller training course in the industry, as far as I know. How have we had that longevity? It's because of our commitment to teaching only the stuff that works. And once we find something that works, we latch on, we systemize it, we roll it out. And how many of you in here right now, just to get a show of hands, get a feel for the room, part of your family's budget, a significant part of your family's budget is coming from the Amazon replens model? Let me just see a show of hands. Raise your hand so you can get a feel for, that's a good number. I would say that was about 35, maybe pushing 40% of the room, possibly. So there's a lot of people taking that business model very seriously. That's our base model. If you come to us, and I've got friends in the room who've come to me recently, career changes, interested in this internet marketing thing. What do you got for us, Jim? You've been doing this a while now. Teach us something. Teach us how to use the internet creatively. We want to make some money from home. We want to build this creative lifestyle that you're always talking about, where you can work flexible hours and build a business in your spare time. We teach them the Proven Amazon course, and we start them with the replens model. And I'm doing this with my hands because it's the base model. This is where you start. If you've never made money before on the internet and you want to do something that works, Robin Joy Olson came up with the low, low, high terminology. We love low, low, high, low risk, low investment needed, low learning curve, very high odds of success. Most businesses are just the opposite. High risk, high investment needed, high complex learning curve, low odds of success. That's the way business has always worked. You can go all the way back. And that's the way the internet changed the world. The rules of business have never changed and they never will. You got to provide a product at a profit. Because if you can't provide a great product that your customer loves at a profit, well, you're going to go out of business. So those rules are never going to change. But what has changed is our ability to test, and to test small, to wade in slowly. I've got a business degree from a state university, and they taught me that if you want to start a business, it's a complex 5-year process. You got to raise money. You got to get a marketing plan. You got to, find investors. You got to propose and get your trademark, and you got to go through all these steps. And at the end of this long 4 or 5 year process, guess what? It's probably not going to work anyway. And that's what we were taught. That's how business works. And for thousands of years, that's kind of how business worked, right? That free markets relied on businesses to take those big risks. Well, that's just not necessary anymore. That's what the internet changed, is the risk structure of starting and launching businesses. And we've proven it here. We've had almost 20,000 coaching students. We've had thousands of students go through the Proven Amazon course. And we teach you, wade in slowly. I've been using swimming pool analogies a lot lately. You go to the swimming parks and they've got all the great slides and the high dives, and they've also got the kiddie pool area. If you come to us and you've never made any money before, we're going to take you over to that nice warm, the floor is even soft. It's never too hot even. You just walk out and it's a soft, cushy floor and you're up to your ankles as you're getting started. That's the replens model that we teach. And I'm not going to dive real deep into what replens are, but when you get into the Proven Amazon course, that's where you start. But the cool thing is, we've got people in this room running multiple 7-figure businesses with just that model. But it's the base model that teaches you how the world works. You take tiny risks, you help Amazon fill its unfilled shelf space or its underserved shelf space. And then you start to discover some really amazing opportunities as you're wading in. And those opportunities might include wholesale or print on demand. Those are some of the topics we're going to be talking about at this conference. Getting into branded bundles, which we love. How many of you in here are starting to do some branded bundles, have some experience with branded bundles? Let me see some hands. Yeah, we got a good number of people starting to step into that. You find a product that has some momentum, and you want to step away from the crowd of other people who are selling the same thing. You create a brand, you put it in a box. We've got people doing $700,000, $800,000 a month of branded bundles. It's just a box with their logo on it, and everyday common items that you could go and source easily yourself. They didn't create a new product. All the way at the top of this structure, as you start to work your way up into some of the more complex, higher risk strategies, we get into private label, launching your own brand. And sometimes people get the impression that, I'm going to cue up that video here in just a second, Robin, with Mike. I think that'll be a good time to show that here in a second. Sometimes people get the impression that our community is all about the basic stuff. The replens, the newbie, and we're very newbie friendly, but we have some clients who are killing it with private label products who have come through this community. So how many of you guys remember the Mike Brown death wish story? You ever heard Mike Brown wave at me? That's about 50% of you, I'd say. There's a good number of you who haven't heard that story. So let me just set up this video. There's a guy who's been in our community for several years. Actually, I've only done one mastermind ever, and he jumped in on it. That was about 10 years ago. It was a small group of us, and we just met and worked on each other's businesses and shaped them out. And we're considering doing something like that again in the near future. Provenmastermind.com is kind of a place where you can go and sign up and get some details on that. But let's watch a little video from Mike, his experience with this community. He was where you are now, especially if you're new, not too long ago. And I just shot him a text a couple weeks ago and said, hey, Mike, we're going to be doing an event. We're putting together some of the best success stories from over the years. Shoot us a little video. I said, try to keep it to 2 or 3 minutes. He filmed it multiple times and couldn't get it under 11 minutes. So we edited it and chopped it way down. So it's kind of choppy and jumps around a little bit. You'll get the point. This is, again, someone who's built a brand based on what we teach here. Okay, so I'm going to contrast this story with a few other points I want to make in a moment. But yeah, let's go ahead and roll that video if you guys can throw it up there. I love keeping the tech team on their toes. They said, when are you going to use the video, Jim? And I'm like, I don't know, in the middle somewhere, if I remember. So let's see if we can figure that out. If not, I can keep going.
Hello, Proven Conference.
There we go.
How are you? My name's Mike Brown. I'm the founder of Death Wish Coffee. Jim told me he'd be telling my story, or part of it, this conference, and unfortunately, I'm not able to be there. And I'll give you guys a tip real quick. when you're there, like make a list of 3 things you're going to take action on. 3 things you're going to take action on and get it done as soon as you get home, because you're going to learn some things today that are going to be like life-changing, because they were life-changing for me. I was, I don't know if anyone knows my story, but I was, when I first emailed Jim a few years ago, I was broke. And I'm not just a little broke. I was like in debt. I don't know, maybe 50 grand in debt, which at that point was more money than I could ever fathom. But I followed Jim's advice, and I fell in love with the community, and I followed the community's advice, and what they teach works. Listen to the the proven methods, because they're the proven methods for a reason. They work. I do want to give you an update on what's going on with me and my business. So Death Wish Coffee, it's going great. I believe our coffee is in about 40,000 grocery stores across the country. And I was in that conference. I was in that seat you were in, and I was listening to, excuse me, I was listening to what everyone was saying, and and at the same time, I'm checking my Shopify sales, I'm checking my Amazon sales while I'm sitting in that seat being like, okay, I'm having a good day today, or I'm not having a good day. Like, I need to learn more. Like I have this, I'm only 42. I got this fire in me. I want to win. I want to share an experience. I want to fight. I want to fight and do this journey and make deals and sell products and make my customers so happy that they can't believe it. Just go over the top, get people excited. I don't know. That's the exciting part about running a business. All the options that are out there, and all of the opportunities that your business opens up for you, and the people you get to meet. You get to meet the best people in the world. Not the best people in the world who are trying to make the world better and trying to make their customers happy. And then you have people like Jim Cockrum, who, luckily, I don't know where it's, I wish I had this bone in my body, and I think he's trying to develop it in me, but he teaches me and he shows me the way. Even today, I've had many conversations with him in the last month, and he's like, Mike, I understand where you're at. You should really think about doing X, Y, Z, because you already did ABC. X, Y, Z, this is the next step for you. This is your next journey. I mean, I was broke, so broke 12 years ago. And excuse me. I was so broke 12 years ago, and I know what that feels like. I know what it's like not having enough money to pay your electric bill. I know what it's like working in your shop and getting a phone call and having it be the repo company be like, hey, we just towed your car because you didn't pay your bills. I know what it's like getting the letter in the mail being like, yeah, this is our last letter that we're going to send you, and then your house is gone as well. So I know all of those things. It wasn't until really, I feel like my whole life was on fire. And it's I don't know. And that's when Jim Cockrum came into my life, and he basically, he taught me how to run a successful business. He taught me what I needed to do. And and it worked. What he teaches works. And people are always people ask me a lot, Mike, what are the secrets to your success? And I say, I follow directions very well. Take some action, make some moves when you get home. That was probably one of my biggest regrets, are the action that I didn't take after the conference. So take action, enjoy yourselves. I'm sure I'll meet you all soon. I'm going to try to be at the next conference. Jim talked about getting a mastermind together again. I told him I'm 100% in if he wants to do that. And I look forward to talking with you and learning with you all very shortly. Take care. Bye.
So that was Mike Brown, a little bit of his story. And the reason I played that, I'm gonna work with him and Mike, take your sunglasses off, dude. You're cool, but you're not that cool, right? So Mike, if you're watching, come on, dude, take your glasses off. This is the most humble guy, and grateful for this community that has poured into him over the years. So that's, if we put our success stories on a bell curve, that's pretty cool. He's in 40,000 grocery stores. Do the math. Like if you're making a few dollars a day from each of them, that's a pretty nice business, right? It started off as an Amazon brand. It was one of the best-selling food items on Amazon. If you type in coffee, you'll see them towards the top of the listing any given day. So a great success story. But you know what we get just as excited about here? Let's go over to the other side of the bell curve. The moms. Where's Cynthia? I haven't seen Cynthia. Is she in here? Cynthia Potts, where are you at? Calling her out. Wave at me. Where's she at? Point at her if you see her. There she is. Okay, Cynthia. How are you, sweetie? Good to see you. You didn't know I was going to do this, did you? She was on the podcast just a few days ago. Look up her episode. It's in the 660-something area. Single mom, lost her husband a couple years ago in a very, very dark place, trying to find something to dig herself back out of that dark place with 3 kids, 1 with special needs. And this community and the content we teach here came around her, supported her, loved on her. She jumped in. She's building a business. She started to succeed. She's getting her confidence back. It's bringing her out of a dark place. And I think a lot of us can relate. The past 3 years have been a dark place for a lot of us. I lost my dad in 2020. And every one of us, I think over the last 3 years, have something that just hit us out of the blue. And one of the reasons I call us business building warriors is because we recognize that we're not going to sit back and wait for someone to come take care of us. Cynthia needed some love and support. Now that she's getting it, she's ramping up. She could have gone back to her hair salon, but she just didn't have it in her. There was too many things working against her. She's like, I got to do something on the internet. I got to be here for my kids. I got to figure out this schedule. I need a flexible lifestyle. I need to make money from home. I need to be present for my kids and making money. How can we do this? She comes to us. We teach her the Amazon replens model. She's diving in. She's making it happen. She's here at the event. And I just want to encourage her. I told her we're going to give her lots of love and support. So if you see Cynthia, give her lots of love and support. But I would like to recognize the effort that she's put into building a beautiful business. How many of you saw that or heard her podcast episode? Wave at me. Yeah, good stuff, right? Let's give her some encouragement. What do you say, guys? It's for you. And we've got so many stories like that. There's a few things I'm proud of, not in the arrogant way, because pride with arrogance is actually a very dangerous and even sinful thing. I'm proud to say, look what God did through this community. When I say things like, we've got hundreds of interviews with people like Cynthia on our podcast. You can go to silentjimdotcom/podcast. I think we got it. Oh, wow, you guys are good. Goodness. Robin's awesome. If you try to hire her away from me, you can't have her. That was awesome. If you go to that link, if you've never been there before, you can hear hundreds of interviews like the one we had recently with Cynthia. I'm just not aware of that existing anywhere else in e-commerce. I want to be a part of a community like that. Not a community that says, hey, I'm the guy that knows it all, and if you're smart, you're going to do everything I say. And if I could edit some stuff with what Mike just said, he's like, listen to Jim. Jim knows it. When Jim, it's not about me. I am never the smartest guy in the room. If I'm the smartest guy in the room, I am in the wrong room. I'm getting out of there as fast as I can. This community is so creative. This community is the true story behind Mike Brown's success story, behind Cynthia's success story. Sure, she and I hung out for an hour or so, recorded her episode, but it wasn't me on Facebook at 2 a.m. when she was nervous and trying to make a decision. It was you guys. A 73,000 member Facebook group of people from around the world supporting and loving and caring for each other, having a positive, uplifting attitude about e-commerce and business and Amazon. That's you guys. You guys are doing the heavy lifting. I was at Amazon corporate headquarters. I was sitting at a table with some Amazon support personnel, the people that run if you've ever been on Amazon support boards, or the support discussion forums, it's brutal. You come in there and ask a question, and guaranteed people are going to call you an idiot and call, what are you doing here? And they're trying to give you bad information because they see you as a competitor. By the way, we don't see each other as competitors here. We're fellow business building warriors.
Hey, sorry to cut it off right there, but like I mentioned earlier, this is a 2-part episode. We will have the next episode tomorrow or the day after, so check back then, and it will be posted, and you can enjoy the second half of the opening ceremonies from the July 6th through 8th Proven Conference. And like I mentioned at the beginning, please plan to join us May 23rd through 25th in Orlando, Florida for our next conference. Details are at theprovenconference.com/Orlando. Go check it out and you'll see all the details there. I'd love to see you there with us live next time. All right, look for part 2 very soon.